Rihanna, I can't record. You have to do it as the host. Would you please?
I record.
You do
Okay.
it? Okay, I see it. Thank
I
you.
need to go back for Rundalin.
Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you. I got a call from my partner.
Thank you. We need all the help we can get. Before we actually get started, we wanted to tell you something about what's happening on the website too. Speaking of Raggedy Starts, we have posted links about 3 times now, and then I checked last night and they were gone. So again, apologies, but the links to the readings in week 2 and 3 will need to be posted sometime today, tonight at the latest, and we apologize for the delay. So here you go.
Okay. I think, Julie, you just sort of served as our lead for getting into this exercise that we're going to do. Rihanna is going to put you in 4 breakout discussion groups, and we have 2 topics that we'd like you to talk about related to in-group and out-group dynamics. The first is to talk about a time when you were in the out-group, and we would like you, of course, to honor confidentiality, but we'd like you to talk with each other about what happened, how did you feel, and to identify the social identities that were present in the situation. And we're going to give you about 12 to 15 minutes to do that. And then we're going to have you be in the same groups, and we're going to have you talk about a time when you were in the in-group. So is everybody clear on what we'll be doing?
Yes,
Can you read it one more time?
I'm sorry.
Hello.
I heard Karen say, can we repeat that one more time?
Just like a time when you were in the out group, like exactly what you want us to discuss.
Okay, let me put that up again.
Элла, тише сделай, я ничего не слышу.
who is that?
I think that's Sally.
Oh, Sally.
Sally,
Yes.
have you joined
Yes,
us?
sorry. I joined you by phone because I can't see. I mean, I joined the webinar, but I don't hear and I don't see anything on my
dear.
computer.
Can you hear us, Sally?
I can see only the avatars, you know, the names, and that's it.
Yes, but can you
But I
hear
don't see video. I can hear now on the phone, so I joined you by phone.
Then
Okay.
we'll keep moving forward.
Yeah, I will repeat what I said. You're going to be in small groups discussing in breakout rooms. First, about a time when you were in the out group and what happened and how did you feel about it and what social identities were present in that particular situation. Rihanna, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I just wondered, it's not possible for you to put up the slides. I'm just waiting because I have the screen up for open all rooms. So I'm waiting to do that. You can't show the slides?
She can. I took it down because she was showing her email while we were showing the slides. So I just removed her share screen. So you can put it back.
Oh, okay. I will put that back up. I didn't realize it had been taken down.
Yeah.
And Sue, they'll get a separate amount of time for the second half, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So once again, I'm putting the slides up. Can everybody see that now?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I thought you could see this when I was talking. So, Rihanna, you are ready to put them into the breakout rooms?
Yes, they should get a message momentarily as soon as you give me the signal.
Well, there's the signal.
Okay. And Saleh, are you there? Can you hear me, Saleh? This is Rihanna.
You didn't put her into a group?
Well, I tried, but she's on the phone, Kathleen.
Oh, and it won't work?
Apparently not. I'm going to try it again. I just tried again.
And
This Pietro.
And Pietro, did you get a message?
not really.
Okay, then you should be in group 1. I'm doing it again. If you
Okay,
see
got
messages,
it.
you have to click on join. And so now it's just the 3 of us. Sully, are you on the phone?
She's muted.
Uh-huh. Well, I'd like to invite Sally to come off mute and talk to me or to us about a time when she had this experience. I can put the 2 of you into a separate group if you'd like me to do that. I can add a group.
Why don't you do that?
Now I can't do that because they're in progress. Shoot.
Okay. So
Sorry
you're
about
gonna, but I like your idea of inviting Saleh to join.
Uh-huh. Sally, if you're listening, you're on mute, and you'd like to do this activity, I would like to have that conversation with you. This is Rihanna speaking.
We see you.
Oh my gosh, there you are. Let me see if I can get you into a room, Sally. And you were going to be in 2.
Can't hear her now.
And you're on mute, sweetie.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I'm back.
And
Did we lose Rihanna?
Yeah, I guess we lost Rihanna, so I don't know where I'm supposed to go.
yeah, we have 2 of you for some reason, Saleh. So why don't we just talk right here until we get Rihanna back. The task, Saleh,
Yes.
was to think of a time when you were in an outgroup, when you were in the outgroup in some way. And how did it feel to you? What was happening, and what were the social identities that were involved?
Yeah.
Sue,
Okay, yes.
Sue, would you make me the host, please? Oh, no, sorry, Rihanna's back. Okay. Go ahead.
I just talked around. Richard, I am going to try to get Saleh into that group.
Oh.
Assigned to.
Yeah, I can see. I will join the breakout room too.
Enjoy. It's a great group. Well, here we are.
Could someone make me a co-host, please?
I will certainly do that. Why can't I? Oh, I think, Rihanna, you need to do it.
Yeah. So let's see. Manage participants. Kathleen Brown, more co-host. Yes. Max, don't do that. And, you know, one thing we didn't talk about was who was going to manage chat.
Right.
We did. We said all 3 of us would do it.
Okay, great. And what about the timing for this? Did anyone make a note? Well, I think they've been in for about 5 minutes, but I'm not sure where we are in the webinar.
Well, we're behind schedule because we're behind schedule, and that we never really had enough time for this first one anyway.
So why don't we give them another 5 minutes?
Okay. And
then we'll check in. And since you're the host, Rihanna, you will need to check in to see, maybe what would work is to tell them that we are running a little behind time and we wanted to give them maybe 3 more minutes, and could they please try to finish up within 3 minutes when you go in?
yeah,
You know, we could do that, or we could make up the time as we go along.
I would do what Kathleen is suggesting. And you know, and just do it and not ask them if they need more time or anything. But there's a, you know, there's a thing at the bottom of the breakout room screen that says broadcast a message to all. So I would say in about 3 minutes, I would broadcast a message to all saying you have 2 minutes, and that they just need to wrap it up. Is that all right with you, Sue?
Well, I was waiting to see what Kathleen was going to suggest about where we would make it up.
Well, so first of all, if we do that suggestion, Rihanna, so we've given them really about 10 minutes for this first activity, and I'd like to give them longer than that.
Well, then they have 10 more minutes for the second.
Yeah, but there's something jarring, even just as a participant, when the first thing, you're first out, you're warming up to each other, and then you get cut short. So
you're right.
I would give them that full time on this
Well,
one.
Sue did say 10 to 12 minutes in the group, so.
No, I said 12 to 15.
Oh, okay, I misheard then.
Yeah.
So do you want to give them the full 15, Kathleen?
I wouldn't give them I would probably wait. Instead of giving them a 2-minute warning, I would give them a 5-minute warning.
Good.
And so when would you like me to do that? At 8 minutes or 10 minutes or what?
Well, right now, they are close to having had 8 minutes in their group. So
yeah, let's do it like in a minute.
Okay. Well, I just found out my timer doesn't stay on. I mean, it stays on, but the screen blanks.
I don't know if we need 10 minutes for the checkout.
We don't. We can be faster.
They'll have some time there.
Good.
And
you were worried, Kathleen, though, about was it enough time?
Yeah.
Power and privilege.
Yeah. But so on this thing, staff share in out-group experiences, I don't know that we need to do that. But did you have something created on theory, Rihanna?
There is a PowerPoint.
Okay. So does that need to take 10 minutes though?
That's for Rihanna to say what she needs to do in that section.
That's who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it right now. So should I be giving them the 5-minute right now? I think
Yes.
So. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, actually the total time for that piece is 16 minutes, including the Q&A.
I have
No, it's 18.
I have 20. You're processing the first 3 things and getting their reactions. That's 6 minutes. Then you had 10 minutes for the theory piece, and then 4 more minutes for Q&A. So that's 20.
Oh, that is 20. Yeah, I can probably do it in less than 20.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I do think it's important to spend a little time processing it because they're going to have two experiences to share on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I will do it in less than 20. We might not need to do Q&A at the end for 4 minutes, so I will just try to tighten it up as much as I can. Sue, do you know when the 5 minutes is up?
I will. I mean, I'm timing it.
Okay, great.
Oh, damn it. I was timing it. Come on, you stupid timer. Yeah, it's 3 minutes and 10 seconds right now.
So what? So then we bring them back, give them the next assignment, and then put them back into their rooms? Is that how it goes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I can just put them back in the same rooms, you know,
Yes.
or, oh, I can, great.
I mean, that's what we wanted to do.
No, I know, but I mean, when I do close all rooms on the screen, you know, at the end of the 5 minutes, are the breakout groups going to remain formed, or am I going to have to reform them? I don't know that.
Well, here's another possibility which would save some time too,
Uh-huh.
which is for you to make an announcement that we would now like them to switch and have the same discussion, but about a time when they were in the in-group.
Without
Okay.
bringing them out of their rooms.
Right, right.
Okay.
What do you think about that, Rihanna?
I can do that.
So I'll tell you when it's the time to put the announcement.
Okay, and it will take me about a minute to type that in.
Oh, all right, because you have 1 minute and 48 seconds.
So you should be typing now.
Well, no, I can't do it, Kathleen, until I open the broadcast to message.
Oh, you can't just get ready and then
No,
send
you're
it?
right. You're right. You're right. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. 43. Half a minute.
And then we're going to give them 12 minutes for this?
Exactly. Okay, send it.
I'm setting my timer for 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Then I'm turning mine off. So Kathleen, you said you thought we were behind. I have that we should be, oh, yeah, I see. So we are about 7 minutes behind. If I
At this moment?
Yeah, if I figured right. Because I have 11:35 and at 11:40 was when we were supposed to start with Rihanna processing. So,
That's not bad.
yeah, so we're not too
Tighten it
bad.
up. We'll
Yeah.
still tighten up
I
this
don't think we have to feel that rushed. I mean, I think we still can use every minute that we have. Whew. If I go to full screen on the PowerPoints, is it easy to get back to being able to see people's faces or not?
Well, we get to record what we see as well. Are you talking about just for you?
So that everybody can see this better and it's neater. I mean, I'm assuming you see the background of my screen.
Okay.
So if I did this,
Well, you could do the slideshow, and
that's
we wouldn't. Do you know how to do that
no.
on PowerPoint?
Oh, yeah. Now, all that we are talking is going to be on the recorded because Alan told me that if you pause it, you may not be able to pick it up on the same whatever.
Oh, dear.
Uh-oh, Rihanna, you have a different perspective. Good. You can?
I think that was Kathleen laughing.
I know, and I think Kathleen is saying that you can pause and continue on the same.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm thinking about all that's on this recording.
Oh.
Okay, anyhow, so you know how to do the slideshow view?
Yeah. But I'll play with that.
So view and then slideshow.
View. I have slideshow.
Oh,
But then the question is getting back. Do I have to go to escape and
Getting back to what?
to being able to see everybody's face?
Oh,
well, you can see our faces right now on the side, right?
Yeah.
as
so
long
when
as you're sharing a screen, you're not going to be able to see everyone's face.
Okay.
And neither can we. No one can.
Okay.
When it was just the face, yeah, as long as you're screen sharing, right? By the way, I know I came in late on the sharing, the check-in, but I was impressed with what I heard.
Yeah, I didn't hear it all because I was trying to contact you. So,
Let's be mindful of what we're saying, given that it's being recorded.
yeah. I think that indeed people have already, I mean, there are about 6 or 7 people who have already posted their responses to the first articles.
And did people say something about both the social identity article and the Google video? I think I
Yes.
heard comments about both. Yeah.
Yep. What's the timeline now?
5 minutes. And then a 2-minute warning.
Oh, okay. So they've only been in the room for 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. So
Probably 6 minutes, because by the time I got the timer going, for 10 minutes, I think a minute had gone by.
now you tell me when you want me to put this screen up.
I will. I don't want it up right away.
No.
You know, when I'm leading the processing for which one was easier to talk about and why, I would like to explicitly invite the two of you, if you hear something you'd like to follow up on, or a question I'm not asking or whatever, please jump in.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free.
Will do.
Good morning, sweetie pie. Good morning. Yeah. Good morning. Oh, no, no, no.
Is she growing up at all, Kathleen? Can you tell any differences in her since you got her?
Oh, yeah, she's like twice her size. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
I've had several questions from participants about who their coaches are. So I think I will send out another email this morning listing the groups, because they want to, if they haven't already done it, they want to submit their portfolios and they don't know who they're supposed to be submitting them to. I know we've already gotten a few. I could do that right now, actually.
And I've been forwarding to you, so, well, to both of you, the responses I've gotten from people from the check-ins I sent. I also copied both of you on all the check-in emails that I sent. So it sounds like you're not getting anything from the city. And I don't know what to make of that.
I got the one that was from, I think, Timothy, somebody thanking you, Richard or Timothy, I forget. Was Richard. But that's the only email I've received from you in about a day and a half, 2
You might
days.
want to check and see if somehow you blocked me.
Yeah, I will. I don't know why I would have gotten that one, though.
Well, that was from Richard,
Huh.
which I'd already responded to and forwarded to you.
Okay, I'll be sure to do that.
Is there a vacuum going?
There's banging out in our hall. They're doing some work.
Oh, okay. At least there's not a fire. Okay, I'm sending the broadcast message now. And I gave him 3, so.
So then we will be starting the processing about 8 or 9 minutes late. Just be aware of that.
The theory is going to take about 1 minute, literally. It's just really, it's those 4 statements and then some Q&A if anybody has a question about it. But I think it's going to be so obvious.
Okay.
It almost doesn't need stating, but, you know, I thought we needed to point to it as a theory.
Well, if that's the case, I'm hopeful that we can spend a little bit more time in the processing.
Well, Sue, didn't you already want me to take, you know, the whole piece was 20 minutes. Didn't you want me to try to reduce that down by 4 or 5?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm thinking if the theory is going to take 1 minute, then I'm thinking that you could take maybe 7 or 8 minutes around processing instead of 6 or less.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. I would like to get a nice conversation going among them where it's not, you know, me or any one of us to them, us to them, us to them, but really, you know, a conversation. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Uh-oh.
I don't like uh-ohs. Especially during surgery.
I thought I would take advantage of our time and start posting those documents.
Oh, God love you.
Okay, that's one.
We're going to have follow-up time, right, Sue?
Yes.
I do think we should have a larger conversation about asking Selma, getting Selma to be backup for Alan. Seriously, because I don't think we should. But
I think we should wait and have that conversation afterwards.
Yeah. Okay, I am closing the rooms. So it takes them a minute to close.
Here's Elena.
I'm here.
Hi, Elena.
You guys are doing great.
Oh, thank you. And Timothy.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and once we're off the phone and off our debrief meeting, I'm just gonna go ahead and post those.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Yes, thank you very, very much.
So.
And I will go through it again one more time, but I'd sure like a set of eagle eyes following me to make sure I haven't missed anything else.
So that I will be able to do maybe tomorrow, maybe tonight.
Hello?
Hi.
We're back.
And we're back.
Austin. Yeah, it takes a little while for everyone to be back, so you just have to hang out. How did it go, Costin?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it went well. Yeah.
Discussion.
Who else is back with you?
We didn't want to leave. We wanted to stay.
You call us back.
Why would you want to come back to us?
Of course, guys. We didn't want to.
That's the good news. I'm glad you didn't want to leave.
Hi, Sauli. Nice to see you.
Hey, Pietro.
So, Sally, did your Zoom connection stay connected, or what happened with you?
No, I just left and I joined we finished our breakout. I joined the main session, but I don't know where Richard and Randallin.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Oh, yeah, okay, you're there. Okay, I don't see you.
So is everyone back?
No. I don't think so.
You need someone to notice the sign. So they may have been so engaged they didn't notice it.
But it's automatical coming back once the time is.
Yeah, the system enforces you to come back.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah. So there are 18 people connected. If we are supposed to be 18, we are all in.
Okay, great. So what we want to do to process this is, first of all, is just to ask all of you, which of the experiences was easier to talk about, when you were in an out group or when you were in the in group? Anybody?
Certainly in the out group.
And who's speaking? Because I can't
That's me.
see everybody.
Sorry, that's me, Fadi.
Fadi, okay. And say why.
I don't know. I rationalize. I could think of why, but it was much easier to think of an experience. When I was in the out group, which I think it was more terrifying, painful. It just clear more. It's more clear in the memory than kind of the everyday thing of being kind of in the in group and being protected and just kind of the everyday life.
Okay.
Yeah, I also think like.
Hang on just a second, Karen. I recognize your voice. Stu, would you just take the slides down so we can see everybody?
I'm trying. I'm sorry, but I'll have to.
There you go. Okay, so now can everybody see everybody?
Mm-hmm. Almost.
Good. What we'd like to do is just have some conversation about this. And Fadi started off by saying, talking about the out-group experience was easier. So let's hear some more shares about that. You know, which was harder, which was easier for you, and say a little bit about why. And Deepak, I see you shaking your head vigorously. What would you like to say?
But before that, Karen was coming in.
That's right, you're right. Karen, what were you going to share?
Thank you. I was just going to say that I too found that just kind of coming up with the experience when the out group was easier. And I think there's something attached to being in an in group about power over or control that I did not want to identify with, being in a group that might have power and control over others. So that it was easier to just try to think of examples within the in group.
Yeah. Would you say it was less comfortable to talk about having the in-group experience, Karen?
No, I think it was just easier to come up with something quickly.
Okay. Okay.
With the out group, it was easier to come up with something quickly about the out group.
How about others?
Deepak was next.
Deepak was next, and then I think maybe Julie. I saw you nodding vigorously. So Deepak, there you are.
Okay, thank you. I was nodding vigorously because I was asking my son to keep out of the room and not disturb me.
Okay.
It's a school time. I gotta take.
That's cute.
So he was trying to be part of the in group for a minute, right? He was trying to be in the room. Yeah.
Okay, so for me it was easier on both ends, but I thought I couldn't choose my out group very easily because I felt out of group in so many instances. So I had to take my time to kind of choose which one I want to share with the group.
Sure.
But there was no particular hesitation or difficulty in sharing an example around any one of them.
Great, thank you. Julie, did you have something?
Well, I was just when Fadi spoke and he said it seemed like it was so much easier. I had the same experience, that it was easier to talk about the out group, and I'm curious if it's because there were so many, heavier, bigger emotions associated with being in the out group. And it took a while. And when Karen spoke, that I kind of wondered about that. Yeah, did I want to talk about, because I might be seen as more of the in-group just by, you know, who I am, and didn't want to speak to that because it was easier. And it took a while for me to come up with an example of being in the in-group until I came up with being involved in the Women's March back in March, and that it was so many people in so many different walks of life that one was easier to talk about.
Julie, what were some of, you said there were like heavy or intense emotions, and those may not have been your words, but can you name some of the emotions that got named during your conversation without attributing to anyone?
No, just frustration and anger and disappointment because it was occurring during an NTL class, and I had this fantasy that NTL wouldn't have things like that happen. So that was deep, deep disappointment, and this was years ago. Disappointment of the definition I had for NTL, and that I didn't think that would happen there.
Sure. And that was in the outgroup experience you shared?
Right.
Can anyone name other emotions that came up that were shared during your small group conversation about the outgroup experience? We've heard frustration, anger, and disappointment. Were there any others that came up?
Envy.
Envy.
Shame.
Is being the need to be liked and accepted is an emotion.
Yeah, what is that emotion? I heard Elena say shame, I think. And what is that emotion? Can we find a name for that emotion? The need to be accepted and liked and approved of?
Yearning.
Oh, who said that?
Sue.
Sue.
I like that. Yeah, a yearning for
this is Costin. I don't know if this is an emotion, but it's definitely, it was a struggle.
Struggle, sure.
That I found.
And Karen, this is Sue. Karen, I'm appreciating what you wrote in the chat room. Socially isolated, undervalued, resentful, unheard, not appreciated.
And building on that, Sully talked about she felt like an observer, so kind of a detachment, and isolation, building on that isolation piece, a detachment, an observer role.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share from the outgroup experience?
Just to say that I like the comment about observer. I think my defense become sort of an amateur anthropologist of what's going on around me, and so I became a witness. I knew I couldn't be a participant. I couldn't change my stripes, and so in the situation I described, the way I coped was to get curious about how they behaved. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one additional thing I'd like to share. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Timothy.
Just to join the discussion here, I hope I didn't cut you off, Harry, is that when you're in the out group, there's an awareness that you have that you're in the out group, but sometimes the in-group people don't realize that they've given up the fact that there is an in-group, you know what I mean? So they sort of pretend as if there's not an in-group. And so part of this additional frustration is that you guys are pretending that there's not a group, and I'm an outsider, and I'm aware of this. So it even adds to the humiliation and value that I can't pick this up, this dynamic up.
Yeah, good. Love it. How about let's shift up. Go ahead, Anita.
Just quick, an emotion I don't think that anyone has mentioned yet. In recounting my story, the emotion that came up for the first time, I think, even thinking about it, was fear. And so that was really interesting for me to think about how, that was early in my career, how fear then, has been associated, I think, many times.
Yeah, thank you. That's wonderful. Let's shift it to talking about what it was like to talk about your in-group experiences. And was that easier or was it harder? And what kinds of things came up for you?
For me, it was harder. I almost had a sense of embarrassment about being in an in-group.
as I reflect on it, it's somebody talked about power and control over others, and I tend to see myself as powerless and not having control over people. And so then to acknowledge that in an in-group I do have that kind of influence, there was a dissonance there for me.
Mm-hmm. And Rondalyn, did you say embarrassment, or did I?
Yes, I said embarrassment. Yeah. Internally, I didn't express that to my colleagues, but I felt a little embarrassed about that I was ever in an in-group. Yeah.
Did anyone else feel embarrassment at having to talk about an in-group experience? Elena, I think you had mentioned, well, you mentioned shame, I think, but I think that was with the out-group.
Yeah. But I would like to share, because what I chose was really an out-group, but feeling within the out-group in the in-group. So, I like to be I like to be marginal, and I think that's my preference. But it was hard for me to figure out what I was going to use, and then I realized when I used it that I was joining an out-group. But I was in the in-group, if not out-group.
And okay, thank you. And we haven't heard from a few people. So Richard, Werner, Pietro, do any of you want to get in with what it was like to talk about your in-group experience?
Pietro.
Pietro, okay.
First, what seems pretty apparent to me is that it's way easier to identify myself in an outer group rather than in the in-group. So in a way, when I'm in the in-group, there's like privilege. You don't see it until it pops into your face. That's a piece. The other piece is I felt like there might be a reason why I'm here and not somewhere else, because it's the experience I mentioned is an experience where I see very often other people being envied toward me, whilst I feel very much uncomfortable on the fact that something that I have, something that I receive, it's making a difference that is not supporting other in getting more connected with me, and not supporting me unless I put an effort in getting more connected with other. So there's a struggle there.
I guess I can say, am I muted? Oh, okay. So I had definitely had more of a struggle identifying an example of being in the in-group. And I tend to take up an observer role very often when I'm in the out-group, which I think is very often. And I'm usually fairly comfortable there. But as far as the in-group experience, I remember the example I gave, although it was difficult to come up with, one of the things I noticed that I did in revisiting it was this checking myself to make sure that I do not act too comfortable, behave too confident, because I've had experiences dating back to my childhood when those behaviors show up, they get squelched. You know too much, you talk too much, you push far forward. So I tend to self-edit, give me a word, somebody, to sort of hold myself back on that.
Sure.
Self-regulate?
Thank you very much. That's exactly what I needed, self-regulate.
My dad used to say, don't get too big for your britches.
Yeah.
Anybody ever heard that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rihanna, if I can
go ahead.
A really quick one. This happened at an NTL members meeting back in the 90s. And we were doing an entire 2 days on diversity and inclusion. And one of the most powerful experiences that I've ever had was watching a group of African American women and men who were doing a fishbowl. And they were talking about homophobia. And one of them said, "Oh my God, listen to us. We're saying exactly the same things about them that we have heard about us all our lives. And it was one of those moments about in, out that just got deep in my soul, because I realized how often that happens for all of us, that we can be both in and out in different situations, and how critical it is to be aware of some of the very wise things I've heard some of you saying.
It's interesting that you said that too, because we had that in our small group discussion when we got to the in-group, and I admitted, I said, it's harder for me to come up with a concrete example right off the bat and about the in-group experience for the things that we've just been saying, you know, well, because it's, now I'm in the group that has the power, and you know, is that a bad thing? But what I realized, the one that I was able to come up with was, you know, walking and marching in the Women's March back in March, whatever it was, the 20th or 21st. And because it was surrounded by so many people from so many walks of life, and it was a result of feeling out because of the results of the election. And so from an out experience, this huge feeling like we're connected, you know, happened the day afterwards. And it was interesting to see when more of us shared our stories that our in-group was kind of based on feeling like you had been part of an out to bring about the in.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, we're going to need to bring this processing time to a close pretty quickly. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask each of you to name, and I'm going to call on you, so we do this quickly, starting with Elena. So get ready. I'm going to go by who's up on my screen in which order. I'd like you to name one social identity or one dimension of diversity that was talked about in your small group. So just as an example, what I will say is white. Elena.
A race.
Timothy.
Ex-military officer.
Julie. You're muted. You're muted, dear.
Union member.
Sally.
Gender and race.
Rondalyn.
Gender.
Richard.
Gender as well.
Pietro.
Education.
Education. Deepak.
Sports ability.
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Sports. Challenge on sports.
Okay, thank you. Karen?
Gender within families.
Anita?
Privilege.
Privilege. Werner?
PhD.
Harry?
Bodies.
I'm sorry, say again?
Physical bodies.
Bodies. Thank you. Kostin?
Citizenship.
Good one, thank you. And who do I have? Oh, Fadi.
Nationality.
Wonderful. What a nice mix. Thank you. Another question, and just a few of you, if you would answer. When you reflect on your small group discussions that you just had, were there any implicit biases or microaggressions that anybody pointed to? Did that language come up in the conversation? Like you experienced a microaggression or you were aware of an implicit bias?
In our experiences.
Go ahead, Patty.
No, I'm just trying to clarify the question, my understanding of the question. You meant we experienced that in the group, in our discussion, or in our stories?
Whether it came up in any way, so it could be either one. And the reason that we're asking is because you saw a video on microaggressions, and you read a shorter and let's see, you saw a video on implicit biases. So just curious whether that language crept into your small group discussions.
This is Elena. It did.
Yeah.
Both, but for confidentiality's sake, I wouldn't explain it.
Sure. No, we're just curious whether it showed up, whether the theory is beginning to creep into the consciousness. Anyone else?
There was a mention in our group about implicit biases, and since I name it, I name my experience in Stanford and implicit bias that if you're there, you have a moral superiority toward the other. And it's absolutely undiscussable.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. That's the thing, is it is undiscussable, which is why we're asking the question. So that's okay. Sue, would you put the series slide up?
Yes.
So we want to just review the series quickly, which you've all read about and you've watched the video on and you've just experienced also. And that is that.
Is it up?
No.
Oh, God.
It's okay. I will say it. I will say it. And if you get, oh, here it comes. Okay. So there's 4 points to the theory. And that is that we all have implicit biases and they live in us and they're outside of our conscious awareness. So if you think of Johari window, which you've all seen in your human interaction lab, our implicit biases live in our blind spot and to some extent in our unconscious. They influence us to act in ways that others can experience as aggressive and oppressive. We don't mean to be aggressive and oppressive. Most of us don't, unless we're sociopaths. But by and large, we don't get sociopaths in the human interaction lab. Although, you know, in the fourth competency area, we will be talking about critical and clinical incidents. So every once in a while, you know, that's mostly a joke. The third bullet, so what our impact is in social space can be different from what we believe or what we intend it to be because of our implicit biases. Therefore, our own self-awareness is critical when we are in the T group facilitator role. That's it. Anyone have a question about that? I mean, once you know it, it seems kind of obvious, doesn't it? And all of you, I hope, had the opportunity to take the implicit associations test on the Project Implicit website. So you got some insight into your own implicit biases. No judgment around that. It's just important for each of us to be aware. Any questions at this point before we shift?
My question is, Rihanna, is how can I keep myself in awareness without assuming that since I've been exposed to this, now I know and now I'm capable. I mean, to keep on learning around it, because it seems like
Yeah, you know, Pietro, that's really a beautiful question. It's a perfect question. The truth is, at least for me, and I think this is generally true for everyone, that we can't always be aware and that there's always more to mine and become aware of. One of the things that helps me is to always work with another person. And if that's not possible, to get feedback from my client or from my group. To reflect on my practice afterwards in some way, to pay attention to when I have a little feeling inside that says, ooh, something about that wasn't quite right. And finally, to pay attention to what my impact is. So if I can see that someone, you know, where I have not intended to hurt them or press them in any way, but they're not liking, you know, there's something funny in the energy between us, then I suspect that maybe there's something that I've done that has had an impact that I haven't wanted to have. And then I can ask the question, how was that for you? So there's 5 things that I try to pay attention to. Sue or Kathleen, would you add anything to that?
Not right at this moment. I think it's something we need to stay aware of and come back to. But right now, what I want to do is, as Dean, I want to have a quick little staff meeting with Kathleen and Rihanna, because it is 12:15, and I wanted to ask Kathleen, who has the next section, what would be the best way from your perspective of how to deal with the power and privilege piece?
Well, I thank you. I've been looking at this, and I think that, you know, we heard everyone loud and clear, was that only last week, about having enough time to discuss these topics, and we don't have enough time.
Right.
For everything else that we have planned. And so what I would suggest is that we either take one or two of these and we ask them to talk about it with each other and then post online, or we hold some over to the next webinar. But I don't think that we should try to squeeze in all of it today. So there are two pieces on power and privilege that are next, and we could take one of them and then hold the other over in some way. That's my suggestion.
And would you do it as a plenary group or in subgroups?
Well, the groups are ready. Let's poll the group.
You're saying let's poll this whole group.
Well, yes, right now we have a juicy conversation going as a whole, but there's also, you can have a juicy, more intimate conversation in a group. So we could ask a few people what's the preference, or a show of hands, whatever.
Let's have a show of hands. How many, I'm going to take this down for a minute. How many would like to just stay in plenary and continue a discussion about, we'll see which piece, power and privilege? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's go for it, I think. Let's just stay in plenary. And I will put that slide back up, Kathleen, if I can get to it. There. And you can say it, and then we'll get into the discussion.
Okay, but we still cannot do both pieces on power and privilege.
Correct. Correct.
All right. So the slide is not showing, Sue.
Oh dear. Okay. Why don't you just...
So while Sue is doing that, one of the things that we're moving on to now is we're talking about more implicit biases about other social identities that are built into your own respective in-group memberships. So we want to look at, again, knowing that this is unusual for some people who always think of themselves as being in the out group, and for other people who are uncomfortable with the thought of being in an in-group. We're asking you to really look at your in-group memberships now and identify the power and privileges that you receive from your in-group membership. So I'm going to give you like 10 seconds to think about that, and then let's talk about it. And let's everyone unmute themselves so that we can just go ahead and have a robust discussion.
Sounds good. And I'm going to take this down again.
Yeah, take it down. So you're looking at power and privilege that you receive from your in-group membership. Go.
I think part of it for me is I don't know what I don't know. I don't know where my white privilege is. I know I'm aware of some areas where my white privilege gets me places, and then there are other times where I might not know that it's in play just because it's not, if I don't stay in the moment or don't ask questions like we have been of ourselves, that it allows me to do things without me having to think about it. And that's part of the privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Was that answering the question? Was that getting at what you were asking?
I'm only wanting to get at what's inside of you.
Okay.
There's no right answer here.
Okay.
Who else?
Can I just...
That's a sign.
Can I just say, just giving an example of NTL as a, one of the social identities, and this group, and I think, first of all, feeling I get from NTL is being proud of being member of this group, and then the privileges is actually learning and learning from experiences of the participants of this group, and the power it gives is you know, it just gives you confidence.
This is Elena. I'd like to say my in-group privilege is about, for me, it's a 12-step program about food, and my knowledge is what gives me the up-down perspective. And even since I sponsor several people, what we say is, if you want what I have, do what I do. And so there's a bossiness about that within my in-group.
Yeah, this is Timothy. So for me, I run a doctoral program. So I'm a PhD. So I have the title that the students are seeking. So again, similar to Elena, like the knowledge and the rank gives me a certain degree of status in terms of what I say has relevance. And so I'm very much aware of that.
Mm-hmm. Building on that credibility, that I have credibility with certain groups as a result of being in the group.
Mm-hmm. Let's raise the risk level a little bit here.
Okay.
What power and privilege from being in the in-group do you think you have in this group? So you bring your in-groupness with you. So where might that show up in this group?
Thank you for raising the bar.
Yeah.
This is Elena, and I was waiting for someone else to come in because I've talked already. Because I'm a longtime member of NTL, because I went through T4, because I'm 67 years old, that's my input on that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say years of experience and who you knew that got you in here.
I didn't hear.
I said years of experience and who I knew that helped me get here.
I would say for myself, I come from a country where there are only 2 NTL members. I have my own business. I have people working for me. I have had the privilege to invest a lot in my learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also bringing a difference, because for those whose English is their mother tongue, I'm part of the in-group of those who are coming from a different background. So it's part of NTL honoring the differences, and I can bring my difference and feel powerful about it.
Mm-hmm. One more.
I'm sorry to spoil the party, but I'm not an NTL member, so I don't feel any privilege associated to this NTL membership because I don't have it. I feel privileged to being part of this group, but I don't associate it with the NTL membership as such.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We had this little chat in our small group. So being part of this group makes me feel proud, special, a little humbled, and thankful. However, like Sue was saying, we hold both in-group and out-group identities at the same time. So as a part of in this in-group, I still feel an out-group because I'm not an NTL member.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in our small group, the discussion quickly shifted to members talking about them being members without realizing that there could be a person in the small group who's not a member of NTL.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an aha moment for me because I was holding both in-group and out-group identities at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And it's a great example of what just happens in life. And I don't like to use the term in the real world because this is the real world as well. And so as we move forward, it's something that we really want you to pay attention to. It's like, what are you bringing with you? Because just because you're in a training role or a facilitator role does not mean that you've left your biases behind. So they come with you. And in this community, we want to be able to surface those and talk about them. And even if we bump up against each other, to do so with compassion and then move forward. So again, juicy conversation. We're going to have to leave it here, but it doesn't mean that we leave it. So continue having these discussions with your learning partners, continue having these discussions online, and we will also continue in our next session. So I think we're going to move forward now and move towards closing, Sue.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Very nicely done. And for me, that was such a great example of organically figuring out how to best use our time, which I think is one of our strengths as human relations trainers. I was also thinking that for me, certainly I feel in as the dean, as having so much experience with this in NTL. And I also want you to know I feel as out as can be when it comes to being able to manage the technology for the program. So I too need a little compassion. In terms of our checking out today, I would like to have you, and I need you to do just one sentence, one takeaway for me as I begin to think about this topic of diversity and inclusion. One takeaway that I'm bringing with me today after this session, and I'm going to call on people. I'm going to start with Kostin, if I could.
Sure, thank you. For me, it's pretty obvious. Being aware of your biases.
Thank you. Fadi.
Yeah, the duality of in-group, out-group versus minority, majority.
Thank you. And Deepak?
Holding both in-group and out-group identities at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And Karen?
For me, it is the whole dynamic, the dynamics of the in-group, out-group.
Mm-hmm.
In-group, out-group dynamics, I would say.
And Pietro?
Privileges that are invisible to me might be very visible to others.
Harry?
To be aware of my privileges.
Oh, yes. And Werner?
I feel quite frustrated about having worked on, I'm still being so ignorant about certain biases I have.
Oh. But that's a nice humility. Anita?
Join the club.
Mine is, I think, similar to Fadi's. I am curious about the impact of even using these phrases in and out versus subordinate and dominant groups.
Yeah, and we're very careful to say subordinated when we use that, as opposed to subordinate, because it's the being done to. But we are trying to get away from that a lot of the time because of that concern. And Richard?
I'm very aware of the emotions that get generated when you sit in or out, and what those may facilitate in terms of behavior.
Thank you. And Rhonda Lynn?
I'm aware of the power and privilege and how it plays out in both groups, the in-group and the out-group. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking on. Yeah.
Thank you. Saleh?
Well, for me, it's in-group experience is so much more difficult to notice than the out-group experience. So that's what I take away.
And Timothy?
Yes, my takeaway really is I want to join Kathleen in that. I'm going to use this group to push myself to go deeper, to really do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Elena?
How often when I acknowledge my unconscious bias, privilege, microaggression, the impact on the other person can be very positive or not?
Yes, Yeah. And I would invite Rihanna and Kathleen.
A learning edge, Sue, is that what you're asking?
A takeaway from today, this discussion.
A takeaway, I guess, for me is an emotion, which is just a feeling of richness and fullness from this conversation and from the work of you all and how you interacted around this. I just feel very full and rich from it, and pleased and proud of you.
Thank you. And Kathleen?
For me, just aware that every time we have this conversations about biases, again, looking at my own, realizing that there's still more work to do, and God, when am I going to get it perfectly? Never.
Boring if you did.
And really can hardly wait to the next webinar to continue the discussion.
Yeah, I do want to, again, I think I'd like to leave all of us with the word compassion. That we have compassion for ourselves in this process, as well as for the other, because it is a never-ending journey. And every time I think I've got one of those in my head, another one pops up. So thank you all so very much. Remember, you will have the reading, the links to it up by the end of today, hopefully. And I will be sending around an email again with your coach assignments, because some of you have forgotten who your coach is and have not yet submitted your portfolios. And again, I know some of you are not done yet. So our goodbyes to you all and our thank yous and namaste.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
Adios.
Ciao.
Where's Kathleen gone? Back to the other site?
I don't know, what other site?
Well, where we have our debrief. Wait,
I thought we just stayed on here for our debrief.
I thought we did too. It says 3, but we've lost Kathleen.
Oh, Sally is still listed on
Wait a minute. Ugh.
I just removed her.
Okay.
So now it's just you and me.